Oh, well, it looks like we are ready to start. Hello, everybody. Welcome. My name is June Sarpong. I'm delighted to be chairing today's panel. It's fantastic to be here in Edinburgh, especially while it's still in the UK. Please don't leave us, Edinburgh. Anyway, today's panel is titled Desperately Seeking 16 to 34-year-olds. And I'm sure you can tell by looking at the panel, with the exception of Georgia, all of you apart from Georgia are definitely not between 16 to 34.
It's going so well.
And, you know, when you think about it, a panel full of old TV people called Desperately Seeking 16 to 34. That's a bad joke there that I am not even going to attempt. Anyway, moving swiftly on, let me introduce the panel to you. So, over the other side, we have Zai Bennett, Director of Sky Atlantic and previously Controller of BBC Three. Don Bird, Head of Formats at Channel 4. Well, we're going to go to you next. Georgia LA, Broadcaster and creator of The Fox Problem. Rick Edwards, writer and broadcaster, and Ben Cooper, controller of BBC Radio 1 and 1 Extra. So really the beginning of this conversation is going to be what's all the fuss about. Can we have the first slide, please? If we look at the data, you can see that the audience number is dwindling pretty fast. So should we be focusing on traditional audiences that are more interested in television and maybe accepting that younger people really do not want to consume their content through TV? So if I start with you, Ben, do you think that this is something that maybe we just need to accept? They're leaving the traditional media, and really what we need to do is focus on the audience that we have already and look at how we can find them through these new forums.
I think it's two things. First of all, you've got to continue to create great stories and great content, reflect and celebrate young people on traditional platforms, but then you've also got to enhance that by looking and innovating in new ways. So, for example, you say, oh, there's a huge problem. Take Radio 1, for example. We still reach 12 million people a week. We still reach 40% of all 15 to 24-year-olds in the UK. But what we find is that they listen to Radio 1 for less time than they used to. So that means that's why we've got to innovate. And I think, the BBC cares deeply about youth audiences, and we are innovating to try and make sure that we continue to reflect and innovate around it. So today, for example, you've got to look at what young people are doing with their time. A lot of young people are spending time on YouTube and looking at vloggers and responding to vloggers. So today I'm announcing that Radio 1 is going to work with about 10 new vloggers, and already between them, those 10 people probably have about 20 million followers. So this morning,
are they going to be on air? You're going to give them a show? How's this going to work?
So on a Monday night, Dan and Phil, who do a programme for us already, they're going to do the first Monday of every month, and then they're going to invite some of their friends along to do the other Monday nights of that month. And I think that's a way of just innovating and saying, young people obviously love watching and relating with vloggers, so let's bring those vloggers to radio, let's get some new presenters on Radio 1, and you never know, we might find the next John Peel or Chris Evans from that new set of presenters, because they have a real honesty and a real real ease at which they present, and that's not through traditional ways and means of learning.
And when does this start?
That starts in September, so it starts from the 1st of September.
Well, congratulations. We'll get back to the whole BBC caring about young audiences a little bit later. Don't worry, Zai, you will have your chance to talk about this.
Nothing to say.
If we kind of stay on that topic a little bit, Rick, do you think that the BBC actually is ignoring young audiences? You know, they are still licence fee payers, and actually, if you look at what's happening with BBC Three, is this a group that they are now forgetting about?
Yeah, well, I guess what you have to say first of all is what might be happening with BBC Three, because it's not been confirmed.
But it's looking, I mean.
Well, yeah, but you look at what the Trust have said, not about specifically the plans to put BBC Three online, but what they have said is that they think that BBC Three doesn't have a particularly strong online presence currently. That's fair, isn't it, Si?
They have said that, yeah.
They've said that.
Don't worry, Zai, we're coming. Zai, we're coming.
And not necessarily right.
And the average age of all of the other BBC TV channels is rising. The average age of BBC Three, I think, went down only from like 34 to 33, so it's not amazing, but still,
it's such a valuable
it's an encouraging, it's an encouraging move. So to put it online, I think would be, I mean, it could be seen as a bold move, but I think just in terms of how it appears to young people, you say, well, we've got these 4 channels, and of those 4 channels, the one that is aimed at you, we are going to cut the budget by, I don't know, 75% and stick it online, where you're currently not watching our programmes.
Right.
So,
okay.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe they do care about young people, and
Maybe
they're just hiding it very well.
Really good way of showing that.
Yeah.
And Georgia, do you think that they are ignoring a big part of the licence fee pay?
I mean, I agree with a lot of what Rick said. I think.
Thank you.
I mean, it was a bit of a kick in the knickers, you know, like they say, right, young people aren't watching, we're not really sure what to do with them, let's just stick them on the internet where we think they're kind of like surfing the World Wide Web anyway. So I think, you know, with T4 gone as well, it does feel like sort of 16-year-olds are catered for online, watching YouTubers in their bedroom, and you know, most of us just watch the bigger programmes as well, have a look in the research.
Yeah,
so
we'll
it's
get
not,
to all that.
Yeah, we haven't really got that kind of targeted programming, which I think is quite sad.
Right.
There's a slight feeling that I might be a curse as well.
It's you!
Basically.
It is you!
And I'm really sorry.
There are a lot of commissioners in here. You actually probably shouldn't be saying that, Rick.
Well, it's sort of obvious, I mean.
I mean, also, I think with the rapidly changing digital landscape, just in like the few years that I've been in the industry, it's actually quite an exciting time as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's fun to experiment online to see what works on terrestrial services, and I think we can't underestimate the power of beaming into people's living rooms.
Completely.
So I just hope that people take more risks.
So, John, why are the young audience so valuable? The data says that for an advertiser, they are considered 4 times more valuable than an older audience.
Yeah, I mean that's a sort of a sales question in some respects, but they're valuable in terms of they have got large disposable income, and that's attractive to advertisers. But you know, for someone like for Channel 4 and E4, they're valuable partly because of that, because we have to pay our way. So therefore, we need to attract the 16-34s because that's how we pay for our programmes.
Yeah.
Amongst other age groups, but equally for us, we're public service broadcaster. We want to serve that audience. It's critical to us that we serve 16-34s. So it's part of what we're about. And I think Channel 4 has always been quite young at heart in that respect, and continues to do so. And I mean, Channel 4 is up in peak 4% for young audiences. We're seeing an increase in our share. E4 up 4%. It's the highest it's been in Channel 4's highest been in 10 years for that young audience. So we are. I don't think we should look at this as all doom and gloom. We're actually seeing some really encouraging figures. And the other thing I think
But
is really
are you
important,
talking about share there, though, Dom?
yeah, in terms of
So absolute numbers are still falling, aren't they?
Yeah, absolute numbers are falling, but in terms
But in
of the
terms
audience
of
that's there.
if part of what the challenge is who's serving young audiences, I would argue that we are doing everything we can to serve young audiences, and the share reflects that we are successful.
Do you
as
think
successful
you're
as we can
serving
be
the
in that.
audiences the best out of the broadcasters that are out there? Be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I would argue that the audiences, our profile is the youngest of all the main broadcasters. Our share is increasing. We work very, very hard to appeal to that 16 to 34 audience. But I think the other thing that's really critical to us is that sort of sense of future-proofing. It's kind of we want to bring that young audience through with us, and so we work incredibly hard to win that audience.
To do that. So Zai, with your Sky Atlantic hat on, why are they so valuable?
Well, young people are valuable because they're harder to reach. That's why they get to. There's an advertising premium on them. Why are they valuable? Because you are also shaping the future, and you're looking at your audience that's going to be there in 10, 20, 30 years' time. You're sort of future-proofing longevity of what you're doing.
Brilliant, okay. Well, can we have the next slide? I feel like a McKinsey consultant. How bleak is the picture actually? So if we look at the statistics, you can see TV is the #1 medium that young people use to consume content. But the difference now is that there is a lot of competing media, and particularly from the social networks. So Georgia, I'll start with you first. You decided to go online when you created your programming. Do you think that TV is no longer relevant? Because even though the data shows that TV is the medium young people use most, when we actually drill through, the programs they're watching aren't aimed at young people. They're watching broad programs. So do you feel that you only had that avenue to create yours?
I think that we just had so much more freedom online. I came from SBTV that was run by all of us were under 25 at the time. I was in uni, you know.
It's very exciting what's going on over there.
Yeah, and it was a real spirit of just like making content and putting it out and seeing what people thought, and it wasn't having to go through people, like through older people who'd sign off and give us some money. Some of the ones
sat next to you.
I mean, no, in the nicest way, but you know, we could just make it ourselves. It was for us, by us kind of thing. So the internet seemed like the obvious place. I met Georgie through work and Gemma Kearney, and we just really thought that there was a gap for 16 to 34. So we felt like super underserved by everything that was on TV. We didn't see girls like us talking about regretting sending tweets and having anxiety on Instagram. And you know, it took a while. Like we did series 1, and we really pushed it. In series 2, we got backing from HP. We got 6.1 million viewers on all our content. So I mean, those guys are there. They are watching it. My friends are on the internet all the time. It doesn't mean they don't want to watch telly. It just means they're in different places.
We have a clip of you. Let's have a look.
All right.
Show the girls some love. Hello.
Thanks, babe.
It's all right. Pleasure, darling. So do you think that TV still is relevant then? I mean, maybe I'll TV and radio, I'll go to you, Ben, because if George is able to get 6.1 million viewers online by a show that she created herself with her friends, then why would she need to come to you, or come to you, Dom, or come to you, Guy? She can go straight to her audience.
She can go straight to her audience, but I think there's something about the power of established brands. So, for example, you know, Radio 1 is a very famous brand, and you know, we've talked, and in fact we've done pilots and things for us, etc. And I think there is something about, you know, let's stop thinking in traditional terms of a TV station, a radio station, and an online platform. Let's try and break down those barriers, because I think if we're talking about desperately seeking 16 to 34-year-olds, then do you really need a dedicated TV channel to do that?
Right.
Because when I was growing up, I loved Def 2. I loved Magenta Divine in those dark sunglasses, even though it's pitch black, you know, taking me to places around the world that I'd never heard of and experiencing. But that didn't need its own channel. It needed a place on a traditional platform.
But the problem is those shows aren't being commissioned by the main channels, so they're not getting that either.
But with BBC 3 content, and you're saying that it's slashed, I mean, in radio terms, BBC 3 is still going to have £30 million to commission original programming. Now, from a radio point of view, that is an awful lot of money. I know in TV land you probably drank that much last night. And so, but, you know,
you in particular.
Yeah, very much. You know, the thing is, you're going to still have £30 million worth of traditional TV money invested in youth programming, and you are going to have moments where it will come up on BBC One. I believe 10:30 is the slot on BBC One. But it's going to be about thinking about things in the round, in the whole. So if you look from the BBC point of view, you've got a radio station that works 24/7, connecting with young audiences. You're going to have youth programming in the iPlayer, so when audiences want programs, they can watch it. And also, don't forget, young people are watching TV differently. The idea of waiting a week for the next episode is alien.
Yeah.
It has gone back to like reading a book.
Yeah.
I watch TV like I used to read a book.
Totally.
I enjoy a book, I want to read another chapter, I read another chapter.
Yeah.
It's that thing, you have conversations with your partner. Should we do another episode of Breaking Bad? Let's go. Come on, we can push through. Let's do it. Let's go past midnight. Come on, what the hell? You know, you do that.
Just glad to play the role of your partner there, Ben.
I can only dream.
New relationship
into it so easily.
So I think we've got to stop thinking about You know, what's the problem with this TV channel or this radio station, or is the future online? You've got to look at it as the whole, because that's what our audiences are doing. And I think the key thing for making sure that you reach 16 to 13 and 4-year-olds is actually talking to them and getting them in and getting them to give you ideas.
We had one here. One.
I mean, I think there is something to be said. I don't think it's one or the other. I don't think it's telly or online. I think it's about consolidating them together. Like, with the Fox problem, we didn't have the luxury of beaming into people's living rooms. We didn't think, like, people weren't going to watch us if we didn't tell them about it. So we had a very strategic marketing plan that was like, I went through every single YouTube channel that I thought the pre-roll ad should be. We had promoted tweets every single week, so it was in the right feeds with the right people. We did loads of stuff on Instagram, Tumblr, Facebook. So it's more, just being in the right places and combining it as one. So that becomes the Fox problem, as well as the live show, as well as our VODs, as well as everything else.
Right. Is that how you're working at Channel 4, Tom?
Yeah, and I think it's important to note that list of things, it's not all mutually exclusive. You know, I think you can, I mean, TV is still number one, and I think it's very important to note that. You know, I don't think we should be complacent because things are changing incredibly rapidly.
Yeah.
But you can be, you know, on watching TV and interacting on Facebook and Twitter, and in fact, Twitter is now something that I think people use as a companion piece to TV all the time. So I think it's okay that these things all live in the same universe.
Yeah.
I think what is critical is that we recognise that we'll need to diversify a bit, because actually there's lots of places people can go.
Yes.
You know, there's a generation growing up now who don't need to go to TV. They can go to wherever they want. And actually the challenge for us is people will go to where the best content is. And that probably will never change. So if at Channel 4 and E4 we can commission the best content, people will come to us. And if you're doing it online, people will come to you. And it's just how it is now.
Okay. Well, if we have a look at the next slide, we can see the top 30 shows. Oh, that's the slide after that is. So this first slide shows that, as we said earlier, that young people still like and still value television. And if you look at the data, in particularly the 16 to 24s, that's looking very promising. And that's the key demo that for somebody like you, Dom, that you would be after.
Yeah, and also I think, television is still an experience that people can share, and I think you still, at the moment, people still watch it in a different way. You know, I think even with my own, I've got young kids. They've been brought up with every kind of device.
Yeah.
Their choice is still to go to the television because they watch it together. I mean, there's some very basic things. It's bigger.
Yeah.
You know, they watch it as a shared experience. There is still there's something rather nice about having that in the room. But what I'm really conscious of is that as they go up, and young audiences now, they're not reliant upon that.
Yeah.
They've got choices, and I think that's what we have to make sure we're doing, is we also give people choices. And and I think we are Channel 4 has just launched a short strategy in which we put we commission for online. We're working with some of the best online talent at the moment. Even 4OD, you look at some of our really big young programs. Made in Chelsea is a great example of a show that it does, I don't know, it'll do 1 million or so on television. It'll get it's 1.2, I think you'll find it consolidates that.
About 800,000.
And across the consolidation on TV is actually 1.2. But 4OD will get 500,000. Another 500,000 will come to 4OD, and that's people watching it from their devices. So, we can adapt to that.
Okay. So, Zai, over to you now. It is the sort of elephant in the room. It kind of started the conversation.
The root.
And I think it's the question that everybody wants to know. So what exactly happened in terms of the conversation around BBC Three, and what are your thoughts on that decision? Clearly you left. So spill the beans. Was it
I didn't think this was going to come up.
It's me. You should have known it would.
I think I've made my thoughts pretty clear at the time. I thought it was a pretty perverse, odd decision. I think the BBC is amazing. BBC Three is a stunning channel. It is completely unique in the ecology of TV and what it does in original comedy, original British comedy, and factual programming, current affairs and documentaries.
And nurturing talent too.
And young British talent. I think TV and online have a symbiotic relationship. It's not one or the other. I think the thing that television offers people from the internet and online, if they wish to have it, some don't, is money, a platform, and some professionalisation. In terms of BBC Three moving online and having its budget obliterated.
Yes, obliterated, just adding that.
I think it's a massive strategic mistake. I think the BBC is on the course to, a strategic course to licence fee renewal, which isn't aligned with what the audience requires from the BBC.
Well, thank you for being
Is that
so
brief
honest.
enough?
Yes, very, very. We like honesty here. Was Some Girls yours?
Yeah, well,
Can I say,
made by the brilliant
yeah.
writers and producers.
Can I
but,
say, I was obsessed with that show, and I watched it with my niece. It was like Rosetta Stone. I would learn like new young people speak. I'm like, what does that mean? They're like, means that, Auntie June. Like, oh, okay, got you. So yeah, so I now understand what young people say as a result of that show. Yeah.
Which is why you're sharing this. I presume.
Exactly, which is why I'm sharing this.
I think the BBC Three, if it moves online, will still adapt and could be amazing. I think the crux of all of this is, if you go backwards, is it's a £3.5 billion organisation that is choosing to stop funding in a big way programming for this audience, for a young adult audience that can't get it anywhere else, that hasn't got a single destination for it. That audience does consume television, it loves television. BBC Three content is consumed, 96% of its consumption is via its linear TV channel.
Yes.
The fact, going online is a sort of slight strategic smoke screen, because all of its content already is online. It is just a big cut, that's what it is.
A big cut.
Yeah.
Big cut. But do you think it's a big opportunity for you, Dom, with E4?
Yeah, well, no, clearly, we would we relish
like,
opportunity
great,
to have more
result.
viewers. It's like,
I'm sure I know my new employer, and I'm sure at Horseferry Road will be rubbing their hands with glee.
That's great.
ITV, everyone. That's a massive market share that's going to flood back into the market in terms of television. Last year, BBC Three actually outperformed Channel 4 for 16 to 24s. That is a huge amount of share that Channel 4 is going to be able to go and just... Thanks
We'll
for
have
that.
this.
Back.
Yeah, thanks. Dom?
yeah, I think there's no question that for E4, we're in that, we're the biggest youth-skewing digital channel, and if there's more audiences available, then
we'll have them.
Then we'll take them. Yeah.
Thanks.
I think it's a very emotive and emotional thing for Zai, and I remember at the time talking about it. It's a very painful thing when you have your
Is this a
area
therapy
cut.
session at all?
I don't know. You didn't bring him a couch though, did you? So you must think he's okay. But I think that you've got to pull back. Yes, in terms of the emotion around it and the feeling of the youth audience is being sort of ignored by the BBC. And when it comes to television, that's immediate knee-jerk reaction and going, yes, I can see that. You've got to pull back and see the BBC in the round at the moment. They've got to save money. The licence fee settlement and DQF savings mean that they have got to protect the mothership of BBC One. BBC One is absolutely, to the majority of the audience, the BBC. And the one thing that we're also trying to protect is drama. And so that is why that money was taken from the BBC Three budget and given to the mothership of BBC One.
But is that a bit short-sighted? In terms of future-proofing, then they're going to be in a lot of
more
trouble.
drama for old, white, middle-class people.
That's normal.
Yeah.
That's usually the way TV runs.
But you've got to do something to protect BBC One. Now, then what you have to do...
But does that mean it won't be relevant 10, 15 years from now when the Georges of this world haven't grown up watching it?
Well, so I think BBC One is still the place where most young people watch television. So in terms of Sherlock and Doctor Who and Strictly and Bake Off, they'll come together as a family. It's about those individual shows that are nichely targeted at young audiences. But I just think you have to pull back and see the reason why the decision was made. It feels raw, it feels painful, and at the time, a shock. And you have to question, does the BBC believe in youth audiences? Well, it does, and I think the Radio 1 audience and BBC Three audience are going to have to, be joined together more sort of strategically. The BBC has a youth channel. It has Radio 1.
But that's music, though.
But it's
different.
music and it's entertainment, but it's also, you know, we are doing visual things. So on YouTube we have
But you're never going to be
1.4.
making proper programs.
No,
right?
but together, this is what I mean about having, why do you need to get hung up about why you need a specific TV channel? You can still have great programs that Zaya made. I watched last night, you know, sort of Our World War. That was an amazing piece of programming, absolutely amazing. But do I need a specific channel? BBC Three, as an amazing brand, the brand that Zaya has made and created, can continue to live and continue to thrive, I think. I know we're in a situation at the moment where you say 96% of it's consumed through a proper sort of TV channel. But going forward, I think, you know, necessity is the mother of all invention. And I think that's going to give the BBC the absolute drive and determination to work closer together between, you know, areas that haven't worked together properly. So TV and radio getting together and working on a new idea going forward that future-proofs the BBC.
Okay, well, thank you for that, Ben. Speaking of cuts, Dom, you don't get off either, as you decommissioned T4. Rick, you were on T4 at the time.
No,
I don't know why June. One of these two bring that up.
no.
I can't imagine the relevance of that in this room.
I want to be very clear, I'd already left.
You'd already
So, behave yourself.
After checking. Well, I just wanted to see that you two were still speaking. I was just making sure, but you had
Well, I'd
left, so
left.
it doesn't matter, so that's all right. So Dom, you haven't replaced it, really.
No, they
have you?
replaced it with a cooking show
Oh, yeah, for old people. Oh, yeah, that's it.
that they bought from the BBC,
Oh, yeah.
which actually I really enjoyed.
I really enjoy it.
Also, I'm in the target audience.
Can I just
also Sunday brunch.
Well, I should probably say though, controversially, I think that Sunday brunch, its share of 1634s is higher than T4
Not when
was,
we were
so-
there.
Yes.
No, I
No
know.
way. Are you
Yeah,
kidding me?
But when you were there, it was, you know, it was doing brilliant share and brilliant numbers, and it's, you know,
Rick,
the reality was.
That's different after we left, wasn't it?
The reality was, and it's sort of, I think it's slightly the opposite argument to Ben's really, is T4 was, there's no question it was a brilliant brand. People absolutely loved it, and even at the point of decommissioning it is one of those moments where, you know, the warmth towards it was incredible, and what you had to recognise is the audiences weren't there, people weren't watching it, and actually the reality was T4 existed in a world before E4. And what we did is we had T4 as the place for young people to congregate on Channel 4. That was perfect.
But for a
It was-
very
it
long
was-
time, the two were side by side.
Yeah, but the digital channels were growing and growing and growing. And by the time that T4 went, E4 was a mature, successful destination for young people. So what I would argue is we took away a small area of the Channel 4 schedule and we gave them an entire channel. And so it seems to me that was a
But you
win-win.
still haven't had the sort of clear vehicle for nurturing new talent. If you look at the television presenters that are working today, most of them came from that stable or came from the BBC equivalent or the ITV equivalent. So where do you find new talent
and I
now?
agree.
You know, if a Georgia hadn't created her own vehicle, you would never know she existed. You wouldn't have a place to find a Georgia that can have a career for 10, 20 years.
And I completely agree with that. That's the challenge. But I think there's two separate things. One is I think it was sort of demonstrably correct to decommission T4 because as brilliant as it always was, it wasn't. It was less relevant in that digital landscape because we have other things that serve that audience better.
Yes.
But I think there is a legitimate other question, which is where do the next generations come from? And you know, you guys are a testament to it. And you know, and there's Dermot and Vernon. And, you know,
the
there's
list
lots
is
of
endless,
this. I think
yeah.
that
Even
is
Ant and Dec, you
that
know,
is something that we have
something,
to. We are really keen to resolve, and you know, and we're doing that on E4. We've got new talent on E4 as much as ever, and probably more than before. You know, Troy launched brilliantly on
brilliant,
E4,
yeah.
who's excellent. We've just launched a new panel show called Virtually Famous, which is doing incredibly well for us. And that is, and the beauty of panel shows is that you have a high turnover of people.
Yeah.
We've had some incredible talent on there. And so what we're doing is we're creating new ways of growing new talent. It might not be the exact model of T4, but you know, it will be a different way of doing it. And I think we're seeing those things happening already.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. So should we look at the slide? If we look at the next slide, And this kind of basically just shows us, in terms of the top programs that young people are watching, these are all broad shows that are aimed at a very mass audience. So there's nothing specifically commissioned for a young audience that's in the top 30. Is that
Yeah,
right?
but that's a statistical fact. Big shows get everybody, and therefore these will also be the highest ABC One shows, the highest old people shows, the highest, because they're massive shows. That's why. It's what you need to look at is how they index for young people, and when you get something that's got a good volume but also is doing an incredibly great index for young people, is where you're actually hitting the sweet spot.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. And so now, with your plans at Sky, what do you see as the sort of future in terms of getting more young people to that channel?
Well, Sky Atlantic, I'm definitely here with my old hat as opposed to my new one, because Sky Atlantic isn't really, it's not,
But Sky in
definitely not
general.
a youth channel. Sky in general and youth television, well, the reason I decided to move to Sky is because Sky is in the content business and channels business in a massive way, and investing £600 million a year in content. And that's exciting. Some of that will be for young people, some of it won't. On Sky Atlantic, it's about cinematic experiences on the small screen, and that's what I'm focused on now.
Fantastic, exciting. So Rick, for you, do you think that it's also important to use this vehicle as a way of sort of getting discussion around more heavier issues? A lot of your programming has been in that space as well.
Using which vehicle, sorry?
Television aimed at young people in terms of talking about heavier issues.
Yeah, I think it's important to provide a place for young people to have a voice on issues and politics, and I think that the show that I do on BBC Three provides that. To be honest, it doesn't get a huge audience, but that's partly due to scheduling and stuff.
So someone else is cocking it up now.
But if you have a show and it's on once every 2 weeks or once a month, and sometimes on a Tuesday, sometimes it's 9 o'clock, sometimes it's 7 o'clock, it's very hard to have any momentum and get an audience to it. And everyone knows that.
But what it does have is a massive interaction. It's the most interacted show on BBC. Those sort of 200,000 people who do watch it, the vast majority of them actually interact with it as well.
That's I think quite interesting, because we talked a lot about the fact that people are watching TV, but also they've got a second screen or a third screen. And I think what free speech has, as I says, is quite a unique level of engagement in that so many people get involved on Twitter and on Facebook, and we have our content guided by what people have said on our Facebook page and Twitter in the weeks leading up to the show. And I think that's something that all of the channels are sort of realising they need to do. There was a show on 4 Music called Tweet to Beat. Tweet to Beat, Don? John doesn't know. It's a sort of like versus show. So it's like Katy Perry versus Rihanna or whatever.
Yeah.
And through it, the audience just
tweets which one they want.
Hashtag which one they want to win over the hour, and at the end of the hour they play an extra video of that person. It's not, I don't know, it doesn't feel like the most innovative format, but the way that they're using Twitter to guide it has seen like a huge increase in both just the linear viewership and the level of engagement from the audience. And that's quite basic, but it's that sort of thing that I think you want to see more of. And then actually what Ben was saying about people just sort of thinking, I want to watch this episode now, and then another episode and another episode. That is true, but I think there are shows like Made in Chelsea actually, which are quite sort of, horrible phrase, appointment of view, isn't it? But there you go. And people do look forward to watching it with everyone else watching it online. So I very much enjoy tweeting through Made in Chelsea, and I think it sort of enhances my experience. I'm not sure it enhances anyone else's, but and you see that happen, and there's a big spike. And I think those. So I've gone. I mean, this is an incredibly sprawling answer.
It's important because when you bring people together and they have so there's commonality about the experience they're having, and they can share that experience. And the thing about having a destination where you can sort of put these things together is you can then navigate them around to other experiences. So the great thing about an E4 or a BBC Three is that you can sort of say, okay, you like Big Bang Theory, now check out Troy, and or BBC Three, you've really enjoyed this new comedy. Here's a documentary about the troubles in Belfast, or about child marriage in India and Bangladesh that they just wouldn't have tried anywhere else. And they're not going to self-select that online, but they might try it there. And that's why that's the power that you have with that brand and going straight down into the TV, via the TV into the living room.
Completely.
I think
So-
one of
sorry,
the other
go on.
issues that comes out from what Rick just said there is about the way that we judge success.
Okay.
So as well as stopping to think of it, instead of thinking about TV channels and radio stations, we should think about brands. And I think the other great thing that we should do is stop thinking about overnights or the collective thing of a week. What's more important as a radio person is, to me, you've got to ask the question, the way that we're measured currently, if I was to listen with the Radio 1 output in the background for 6 hours, is that 6 hours more important than actually someone for half an hour going around our YouTube channel, loving all of the content, watching those videos, and then sending them to all their friends? Now, I got this great phrase from an intern who came and did a presentation the day before yesterday, who said, fans are the heartbeat of bands, brands, and organisations. I thought, hold on a second.
I'll borrow that.
Write that one down. And it's just that thing of, I think we have to change our ideas of what success looks like.
And how we measure it.
And how we measure it. And I think that is really important for the industry, both as a radio industry and a TV industry, because there's something about a love for a programme. So if you look at the viewing habits across a week and the amount of consumption that you might watch of a channel, that's great. But which programme are you really going to tell your friends about, and which programme are you going to wear almost as a lapel badge?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now that's the one that you really want to be the person who commissioned
made that. Yeah.
or made it.
But we haven't even got the measurement bit, the basic measurement bit going yet.
Yeah.
We can measure TV perfectly in every single way. Go to online, zilch. You don't know, when you look at the iPlayer stats, for example, you don't know whether that's a young person, old person watching it. They've initiated a view, have they actually watched the whole thing? Before you even get to, did they like it, love it, are they advocate for it? So we've got to sort that out as well, before we even move
Georgia?
on.
Well, there are ways to measure it actually. So we, our second series got sponsored by Hewlett Packard, and we had a really
I
effective.
thought you meant the sauce.
Oh yeah, no, same. Yeah, that's what my mum thought. My mum. Yeah. Bless her.
But that's not a bad sponsor for the next season.
No, if you're out there. Yeah, so we could see people's IP addresses who watched the Fox Problem, and then we could see if they then logged on to the Hewlett Packard website, and so we could measure super effectively how many viewers of the Fox Problem directly went on to buy HP products. We did quite well. I think.
But you didn't know specifically the exact demo. Obviously, you could guess because of the type of programming. Isn't that what you mean, Si?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
There are ways of doing it. It was when they sign in, then you have all this information, then it will work. But currently, the way it is measured is not doing any of those things.
If you haven't captured that data, you don't know who they are.
No.
Yeah. Well, on YouTube as well, obviously it's easier to measure, so I guess it's about employing those kind of tactics. I think also what's quite exciting about us having this conversation is actually just giving 16 to 34-year-olds a bit more credit. Like, we care about stuff like free speech. Like, we spoke loads on the Fox Problem about sex. We had ex-porn directors come in. We talked about space with Richard Branson and Commander Hadfield, who's been there, and like, the possibility of having sex in space, and just like, but like, we want to be silly and talk about celebrities and find out their opinions on stuff, but also we really like give a fuck about stuff.
Young people have a massive range of
Yeah,
interests.
you can say that on YouTube. You could never say that on terrestrial TV.
Yeah,
Can't swear.
but there's ways to kind of like repurpose it, for the same and do the same thing.
But Rick just did a brilliant TED talk. And he didn't do that on a TV channel, he did that online. And it was a fantastic piece of content.
Anyone watched it?
Lots of people, actually.
Just checking.
Yeah.
Not accusing him.
Yeah.
It was a great piece of
A
content.
few million, actually.
It's that thing of going, we need to make sure that it's not a case of saying, oh, young people are in this box. I think traditional media has to make sure that its doors are open to making sure that young people are continuously coming through and continuously
But do you
giving
think
ideas.
we're all bemoaning that this audience is leaving television and heading online, but we're not making programming specifically for them, are we? So where else are they going to go, apart from where the content is for them?
I saw something that kind of worried me when I was reading what the BBC Trust had come back and said about BBC Three, and they kind of were quite po-faced about easy entertainment and felt like it was overshadowing some of the more groundbreaking, interesting shows. So stuff like what's it called? Sun,
Sex and Suspicious Parents.
So they were quite down on something like that, but I think that's
Was
not
that yours as well?
No, I inherited that one from
But that's a very popular
current
show,
director
right?
of television.
It's a very popular show with the audience.
Yeah.
So what I didn't understand is why the BBC Trust would think that that's a bad thing to have on BBC Three for exactly the reason you're saying, that if they watch that and then it leads them into another programme that maybe the Trust think they should be watching.
Yeah, it's the perfect expression of a multi-genre genre channel, and it works. There's proof on a daily basis that it works, and that's. I think it's really a good point you made, which is young people aren't all stupid. They don't just want to watch a hapless groom not being able to organise a wedding. They actually quite like documentaries and current affairs that are specifically made for them and in an unmediated way by them. It's our peril. We treat them as just sort of wanting sort of feckless entertainment.
But let's just clarify something. We're talking about the great old big issue here is young people deserting television. They're deserting scheduled television. You look at the figures for 4OD and how many young people have signed up for that. It's incredible.
Well, we've got something like half of all 16 34-year-olds have signed up for that. So
Really? Wow.
So they still love television. They still love the breadth of programmes. It's about distribution. That's what it's about. It's about distributing it in a way that people want to consume it, and that I think is the key thing.
But they're not totally deserting television.
I would also challenge the assumption that people aren't making programmes for 16 to 34s because I look at Youngers, Mad Fat Diary on E4 had incredibly young share. They weren't daft programmes. Mad Fat Diary was a very, very powerful comedy drama which was about mental health and body image, and we're still commissioning and making those shows. So I don't think it's true to say that we're not that no one's doing it. I think we are doing it, and I think to your point, people are maybe choosing to view them in different ways, consume them differently. But we are definitely still making them.
Yeah, Mad Fat Diary is great.
Do you think it's fair to say that you could be making more of them?
I guess I suppose you could always say that, couldn't you? That you could be making more. I think E4 is it's a channel dedicated to programmes for young people, and it's well funded. The tariffs are good, and we're growing our share. So I suppose. Yeah,
and you're about to grow it even more.
Well, yeah, hopefully.
Increase your own budget.
Okay, so I have another question that I really want to sort of look at is if you look at the sort of the TV landscape 5 years, 10 years from now, and I'll throw this out to the commissioners here, are you frightened about what's going to happen? So whether that be radio or television, are you nervous in the sense that the audience might not be there in the sort of the traditional form, so you have to innovate quickly because they are moving so quickly?
I'm worried about how you get them to your great content. I'm not worried that great content will be made and long form, comedy, drama, factual, will still be made, I hope, by all of the major broadcasters. But how I'm going to get people to eyeballs on it is, it's going to be trickier and trickier.
Yeah. Tom?
Yeah, I think we have to be nimble and we have to be constantly trying new things.
Yeah.
I think my very first point here really goes back to if we create the best content, people will definitely find it. What's going to be trickier is how you make sure it's in the right places at all times. And and the other thing that commercial broadcasters have got is they have to monetize that as well.
Yes.
So it's brilliant that people might watch one of your shows on YouTube, but if
YouTube's benefiting
if they're
from
benefiting from that, that's
yeah.
tricky if you're having to pay your own way.
Yeah.
And I think what we have to do is focus on how we can get it to as many people as possible in as many places and retain the business model really.
Yeah. Well, that's not a problem for you, Ben, with radio, in
No.
terms of funding, but still for the audience it is.
Well, I think the issue that we have to do is continually watch what's happening with the audience, whether that's demographics. So if you look at the country in 2020, you're going to have quite a divided sort of country in the fact that you'll have London versus the rest of the country, you'll have North versus South, you'll have predominantly...
We might not have Scotland.
Let's not go there.
Yeah, please.
We'll have a large white old population and we'll have a young diverse population. So it's the thing for whether you're a traditional broadcaster or whether you're a new broadcaster like Georgia is you've got to keep listening to your audience. And if you can continue to reflect and celebrate that audience and make stories that they are interested in, then you'll continue to be popular. And I think the thing that I think that Radio 1 has been very good at is making sure that we get enough young people through our doors. So we have paid internship, and we have different ways of recruiting that internship to make sure it's very diverse. And that way you get new ideas, and with those new ideas you create new content and you create new ways of communicating with that audience.
What can television learn from music? So, it's clear young people don't only want to watch young people. If we look at, the shows that they're watching in broad numbers, they're aimed at everyone. With music, age is not the factor in the same way. Jay-Z's 44 and he'd still be considered relatively very cool.
Yeah.
Is that making you feel even really good about yourself?
Yeah, I think we share the same birthday, actually.
Yeah. Same street cred, too.
No.
A little.
I can only dream. I think the thing there with music is, again, it goes back to this issue of what does success look like. Continually we're told that music doesn't rate on TV.
Yes.
Radio 1 has put live lounge sessions onto YouTube. We've therefore got our own TV channel, if you like, through our YouTube work. And we are nearly up to 1 billion minutes consumed through YouTube.
And that's a global audience as well.
And that is a global audience. And also, George's point as well, the data that you get from that is so rich. So when the BBC Trust say, we want Radio 1 to get younger, and you say, well, as a brand, look what we're doing on YouTube. The majority of our 1.4 million subscribers is actually, a third of them are 13 to 17-year-old females. So it's about doing things that the audience want in the way they want, on the platforms they want, and on the devices they want.
Okay, well, Georgia, I'll give you the last word before we open it up to the floor. What do you think... Yeah. We end with our bona fide young person. What do you think broadcasters should be doing more of?
I think they should definitely be taking a few more risks. I think having young people making programs for other young people that are the same age as them would probably be a good step. I think on your point about what we can learn about music is, at the moment, I think there's a real trend in the pop music charts about just tunes and content being like above everything. Actually, you can learn that we're not all obsessed with celebrities. If it's something great, we're going to listen to it. And I think also we love seeing unknown people that are just really talented. Like, I loved watching you guys when I was younger. You don't have to slap someone from a boy band to present a show. We actually would rather... I'm much more obsessed with, a friend of a friend that looks cool on Instagram than someone in Little Mix. So
Okay, and on that note, do we have any questions? Oh, young person at the front. He's just here.
Oh, good grief, there's a young person.
Young person in the audience. Oh, hello.
Hello, hi, my name's Sebastian.
And who to, if it's specifically
It would
ending
be
one?
To...
Do you remember all the names?
Anyone except from Georgia and the guy with the blue shirt.
Okay.
I might just go, actually.
Yeah, so my name's Sebastian Till. I run an online TV channel called Upshot Entertainment.
Hi, Sebastian.
Hello.
Hello.
And one thing that I wanted to say is I feel that a lot of young people don't watch TV as much is because we don't feel TV reflects us at the moment, and what's happening online is more exciting, and there's more diversity, and there's a lot of shows crossing over, and that's more exciting, and that's why I think people do it, as opposed to it being because of this whole internet craze that everyone's saying. Because I think TV is still being TV is still very respected to young people, and I think it's a shame that BBC Three is going online, especially for content creators like me, because now it's like we work to do stuff online to get on TV,
And now that's gone.
and to aim for cinema and stuff, and that's gone. So it's like, what are we really aiming for?
Well, you've got E4 still.
Sorry?
You've still got E4.
Okay.
Good thing you didn't tell. Good thing you didn't say you didn't like his show.
Well, the chances are slimmer, isn't it? Like, it's like.
So one thing I think is quite interesting about what you're saying, though, is that you work online to get on TV. There's something quite reassuring, when we're talking about young people or going to other places, that you still see TV as sort of a kind of an ultimate goal. I think there's something quite encouraging that. TV still is still seen as number one, and I think your statistics earlier support that.
Are the budgets for like with BBC Three going to be the same, like for
no,
TV
they've
shows?
been completely slashed.
Yeah, it's going to be
Obliterated, as I said.
The overall budget has been obliterated.
Yeah.
like, and then they're going to do like 5-minute videos, and it's all like just low. It's like they're going to trying to do what YouTube are doing. It's not the same thing. And we see that, to me, they're very different.
Yeah.
I
Do you
just
watch BBC Three now? Do you watch it?
Here and there. Yeah, but to be honest, I don't really. The reason I don't watch anything on TV is because I don't feel it reflects
The lack of
my
diversity.
interest, the lack of diversity.
Right, okay.
And the TV channel that I remember that I used to watch all the time when I was younger was Trouble.
Right.
I don't know if people remember Trouble, but
Oh, yeah,
Trouble
I
had
remember Trouble
a
TV,
range
yeah.
of shows
Yeah.
and for young people, and the majority of them were American shows, but it was a very diverse channel in terms of the type of content. But yeah, that's
Okay.
I just wanted to-
Well, thank you, Sebastian. Who was the other person? Was it gentleman there? With there, then we'll go to you over there. So if we, here, right there. You, yeah, shout.
I'm Ben, I work at the BBC. I thought you made a really interesting point about fans, Ben. I think that seems to me to be a really crucial thing.
Do you work for Ben?
No.
Oh, just checking. Just
But
checking.
he can now.
You will now.
If you look at Game of Thrones, loving Game of Thrones, or they love loving girls or shows. I just wondered, do you think TV brands and broadcasters could or should be doing more to enhance fandom, enhance that kind of notion of people being kind of involved in the show and being kind of,
Who's that to? Is that to Ben?
Zai and his Sky Atlantic.
Okay, Zai.
Always great shows.
Well, yeah, that's the reason Director of Sky Atlantic is we want to make shows that are people's favourite show. I don't want just a middle ranking, this, that, and the other, or another one of those. It's Boardwalk Empire, it's Girls, it's Game of Thrones, shows people utterly adore, and that's incredibly important. And that's why, and Sky Atlantic is, and Sky in total is a sort of place which can do that, because we don't monetize it in the same way as a sort of straight advertiser-funded channel. So we can.
So you can experiment more.
Yeah, and we can take punts on very, very big things, and we can work it back through the fact that they do love and adore them.
Okay, and this lady over there, you, yes. Probably shout as well.
Okay, it's more about content, really. I feel that sometimes it's quite patronizing. Because I want to engage. I think it's important engaging online and tweeting, but for me it's more about being absorbed into good quality content. And I feel like we don't have enough of that. It's obviously a general question. I like, for example, I love True Detective, but I feel
great.
like I need to wait.
Another tip.
I need to wait to watch it on something like Love Films.
Whoa.
Zai, that's a cross now. That tick
I think it's
became a
available
cross.
on Love Film. It's not available on Love Film.
Any other? You
But
there?
it's a fair point. It's the same thing we talked about
Gentleman
earlier.
there, and then the lady here. So you actually you can have a mic. Yeah.
I'm interested in live viewing, live shows for 16 to 34s, and if the research is showing that this age group are watching broadcast content but on different platforms and especially on catch-up, does that make broadcasters like Zai and Don nervous about commissioning live content for 16 to 34s if they're not guaranteed that they're going to get the sort of scheduled live viewers?
Tom?
I think the idea of a live event is always a really attractive one and incredibly hard to pull off. So I think it's those things are really, really hard to get right, but they're a brilliant thing when you do get them right. And we will continue to try those things. And with Singer Takes It All, which actually, to one of Brooke's earlier point, is completely interactive and the entire show is driven by an app and couldn't exist. The two things couldn't exist with the other.
Yeah.
You can see we're completely in in the market for doing that sort of stuff. I think it's harder because people have a diverse choice of where they can watch things, but it's always been incredibly difficult. But when you hit that sweet spot, it's a really, really, really good goal.
If you do, live show is fantastic, but for a reason. You've got to be a reason why you're going live.
Right. Not just
But editorial,
because,
proper reason of why you're doing it. You know, Singer Takes It All has got a reason. I mean, and also, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily watch it again, but it did have a reason for being live. Yeah. I think that's probably its only reason for being
You're
on.
just making friends today, I think.
You can't defend that one, come on.
Making a lot of friends today. And do you want to add to that?
Just one thing, I really miss all the live shows. I love like Big Breakfast, TFI Friday, and that's really like what we were inspired by with Fox Problem. And you can't put first of all, we probably wouldn't have got the names down there if it wasn't live. We wouldn't have had the paps outside.
Yes.
Like, I just don't think, and that's what I love about radio, is that, it's not scripted and you don't really know what's going to happen.
You're right.
So it's my favourite thing to watch.
Okay, fair enough. And then final question is you.
We've touched a bit on drama, and I really wanted to focus on Murdered by My Boyfriend. I'm a young person. Among my group of friends, everyone at local schools and so on and so forth, there hasn't been a TV show or drama like that that's really got to this audience we're talking about for a long time. People talked about it for weeks and weeks and weeks. And it always ended with, oh, that was amazing. That's the best thing I've seen on TV in ages. Why aren't there more shows like this?
I missed that show. What channel was it
BBC Three.
on? BBC Three.
So why aren't there more shows like that?
You're doing very well with the audience, but maybe not so well with the panel today. So.
Since they think Ricky's just bloke in blue shirt, I'm fine with that. There should be more shows like that, and I should do a bit of BBC and BBC Three defending, which is the intention, I'm sure, is to make shows of the same quality that they currently are, if not even bigger and better, but there will be less of them because they're going to have a lot less money. So I'm hoping that they will do more. There won't be as many of them, but they'll keep trying to do them. But yeah, that's exactly my point earlier, which is intelligent, smart things that are challenging to the young audience. Or young audience aren't feckless fools. They want to be not just entertained, but challenged and enlightened.
Okay, we do have one more question. Yes.
Hey, I'm from Radio 1 Newsbeat. I just want to know to Channel 4 and Sky.
So you do work for Ben then?
Yeah.
But
I just want to know for Channel 4 and Sky.
Currently. Depends on the question. Carry on.
What are you guys going to do for news and current affairs? Now, like, BBC Three's gone free speech. It's going online. What are you guys going to do for news? And
who's this for?
For Sky and Channel 4.
Okay.
We've got Sky News is there for news, but we don't have a specific remit to cover, and we don't have to cover 1634s. We're a commercial organisation. We can make shows for whoever we want to make shows for. So we're not under any, it's not a public service broadcaster like Channel 4 or the BBC where they absolutely should be doing these things.
Don't you want them?
Yeah, but we don't have to do it by doing the sort of thing. We're going to have to tick off every single genre.
Yeah.
We can choose where we want to be big and special. And at the moment, for example, on Atlantic, it's all about it's very, very much drama, original drama and American drama.
And Dom, will you be doing news and current affairs?
I think probably E4 is an entertainment channel, and I think it works best as an entertainment channel. People know what they're getting. I think on Channel 4 we put quite a lot of resources into our education commissions. And a lot of those, whilst they may not be completely current affairs in nature, they are. We've got programs in production now called My Million View Sex Change, which is young people and their young people going through sex change. We've got Underage and Gay, which is a very powerful film. Which is in production. We have an online shorts policy, which we are using as a nursery slope for young people, be it journalistic or current affairs. That's trying, and I guess the end goal for that would be potentially to push people into main channels. So we're in all of that area. I think E4 sits as an entertainment place, and in Channel 4 we can approach that between that and the shorts more accurately.
And BBC Three does do that with its current affairs and documentary, and has news on as well. And you would hope they will still do some of those things when it moves online as well.
Brilliant. Well, unfortunately, we are out of time.
Can I just say a big thank you for turning up? Yeah. When I saw what we were up against, I thought, oh, that's going to be 3 people. So thank you very much indeed for coming.
Yeah, you should have had more confidence in yourself.
I'm a radio controller at a TV festival.